My name is Jay Holloway. I'm Senior Product Manager for Worldcat Discovery in our delivery services area, where we think about the end user experience from discovery through to delivery.
And hello, I'm Peter Collins, Director of Resource Sharing, and I've spent the last 20 or more years in academic libraries, and I'm a little bit new here to OCLC, but in my past experience, just seeing how important resource sharing was to fulfilling the needs of the user is really what makes me excited and happy to be here today, Jay. What got you into discovery?
Well, I actually came in through the IT space. I did test automation for our search algorithms, got to know discovery quite a bit, and really fell in love with the problems in that space. So, I mean, a lot has changed since you joined OCLC in February. So
Yes.
What are some major differences that you've seen?
It's been a sudden transition, but yeah, I mean, we were seeing trends anyway, and they've just accelerated in this last year. I mean, work-life balance. What is work-life balance when I have a computer in my pocket and I'm maybe working from home or working remotely and supporting users who are working remotely? I mean, trying to keep that balance is just, it's gone off the scale. And then budget pressures. I mean, when libraries have limited access to physical collections, maybe in an academic setting or in a public setting, you're having to do curbside or new kinds of programming. I mean, it's just a lot being thrown at libraries right now that they're having to adjust to, and that affects their bottom line.
Yeah, and you're lucky if you're able to provide curbside service even. So like if you don't have access to physical materials, digital materials just become that much more important. So access to your licensed content, open access, that was a really prominent trend, of course, but one that's just even more important now.
I know. I was talking to a library last week, and they just said that electronic delivery is just exploding right now. The number of articles that they're delivering through their resource sharing system and their users are accessing through that service, it's just a different landscape. And the cool thing is they have the tools to do that.
They have the tools to create experiences that are like what?
Well, they're like what you have in the regular world. I mean, we're used to things being on demand. We're used to being able to access things quickly and, intuitively. And I mean, it plays right into our library on demand vision.
Yeah, on-demand services, that's a huge one. When I think of user expectations, we know that users spend the majority of their time not on our sites. So their expectations are really formed by what they're doing in other areas of the web. They've come to expect intuitive, convenient, and predictable experiences, and they're able to do this with basically any content, anytime, from any location.
Right.
On demand.
Yeah, and that's what the library on demand vision really, I mean, while it's become even more important this year, it's something that we've been working towards for several years now. And so, just look at these core principles. Intuitive discovery. I mean, that's what you've been doing longer than just this year, Jay.
Get the resource wherever the user's at.
Exactly. And smart fulfillment, I want to dig into that because there's a lot of content there. But personalized experience is part of it. You want the experience delivered to you based on what you need, when you need it, the kinds of services you need by individual user type.
Yeah, like if I want a search result that's really robust because I'm an expert searcher, or if I want a fulfillment option that because I'm faculty, you'll pay for it.
Exactly. Yeah. Or I just need to finish this paper right now, help me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then this is all built on the powerful network. And so, talk to me about what is the powerful network? What underlies all of this?
Yeah. When I think of the powerful network, I mean, in OCLC, it's hard not to think of Worldcat. And I love the kind of cyclical relationship between Worldcat and this network, where we have a robust network of library users that are informing Worldcat. And from Worldcat, we're able to provide really rich, robust experiences. So talk to me about the scale of Worldcat.
Well, yeah, that's what just amazes me. I mean, 3 billion holdings, but that's physical collections, right? The 3 billion physical collections in libraries, and that's what's powered resource sharing for many years, but it's more than that, isn't it?
In addition to the physical holdings, we also have the central index, and we also have access to all of the open access content. So we aggregate open access content from all sorts of sources and pull that together to one seamless repository for users. And then, of course, your license material through the knowledge base is all immediately accessible through worldcat.org in the central index.
And that drives the resource sharing network, which is what excites me. That's why I'm here. I love it. And just the global network. I mean, 54 countries, and the amount of traffic on the WorldShare ILL network, that libraries, whether they're the smallest library with maybe a few thousand holdings or a massive library with millions in their collection, they have access to those 3 billion holdings and all of those electronic resources.
Right. You mentioned any format. Having access to that means that we have access to the electronic version or the print version, whatever your preference happens to be that day.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we've talked about smart fulfillment, optimizing delivery, but what does that really mean?
Right. Well, I mean, think of it in context to just many of the services you use, like an Amazon that tells you when you can expect delivery to happen, or even Google Maps. You type in where you're going and it tells you when you're going to get there. I mean, smart fulfillment is about that kind of driving the decision, giving the user information up front, and driving the delivery in the back end.
So smart fulfillment isn't just one thing. It's kind of an umbrella. It's a collection of capabilities that really drives and streamlines libraries that work in these complex delivery webs. So where users are, trying to get materials from a large distributed network, how can we get them that thing quickly?
If you think about it, we actually have all that data. I mean, we know library policies. We have historical performance data, just like you use in a mapping system or a delivery service. And we know how much libraries charge, so we know whether you're going to get it for free. And you can set up how you want to participate, how you want to play, and you know who that user is. So is it, like you said, the faculty member that, hey, I don't mind paying for a few dollars for this because I want to treat that faculty member with kid gloves. So being able to know all of this information and compile it into this decision making on the back end, that's why it's smart, because it has to read all of this information and then be able to deliver it up front to create that predictability and confidence.
So that could really drive a preference for electronic or print, depending on what the user's need is. We talked about open access and licensed content also being included in this experience. So whether you want print, physical materials, or electronic, we'll be able to offer you an option to get it.
Yeah, and I mean, we're really focused on the electronic delivery right now because that's just so important to our users. Because that's really what it's about, is understanding what does the user need. Because needs change. Different users are on the system, and what a faculty member needs today may be different than a high school student walking into their local public library. And we need smart fulfillment to be able to understand and know who is the user, what is the item they're looking at, are there items available now, or if they're looking at an electronic item now, or the physical item that they can have in 2 days, like we were talking about that. Right. When can I have it?
Right.
By knowing who is the fastest supplier for that content, we can go and order the priority of lenders by who has it, who's going to be the fastest. We have that predictability, and so we've optimized delivery so that we're seeing delivery times in a matter of hours for electronic delivery, and I'm just really excited about that.
Okay, so what if I do want something in 2 days? What can you do for me?
Well, first of all, we can know whether that's possible. So maybe in some cases it isn't possible to deliver this edition in 2 days. That one, we see it's going to take 4 days. but we have another edition, and maybe that's available electronically right now. So I could start looking at this other edition right now while I wait for the one that I really want, because that's the one my instructor said I should use, or it has a little bit extra content, maybe some things have been updated. But being able to make those choices and actually deliver resources that, that the user might not be aware of. So that also is really important.
Yeah, and make an informed choice about
Yes.
what the best option for them is. And that sounds very similar. I think about that in the same way that you're providing a prediction about how long it'll take to get something. If I order on Uber Eats, they do the same thing. They use past performance to kind of predict the future. So they look at how long does this restaurant typically take to prepare the meal? How long does it take to get from the restaurant to my home? And they use all of that to come up with a prediction. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about with library materials.
And I mean, what's super important is we're not just basing this on libraries said they're going to provide it in this amount of time or something like that. We're actually taking the performance data and using that to inform how we request and who we request from, so that we are sure we're getting it from the fastest supplier.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're kind of prioritizing the lender based on how long it takes them to supply? Is that the concept?
Exactly. And in case anyone's worried, we have load leveling built into this, so we know how many requests we're sending to everyone. And so we can move those around a little bit to make sure that we don't overwhelm anyone as well. So yeah, it's just optimizing delivery, because of course if you overload one supplier, then you won't get the performance you anticipate. I mean, this means the scope of this is just incredible. And how do you scale that? Because a lot of times, I think back to when I'm working in a library and I have the relationship with the library down the road who I'm really close with, and maybe I'm part of a network of libraries that are academic because I was in an academic library, and then maybe there's a wider group, a regional group that I'm a part of. And this is all built on this single network. So it's like
like networks of networks of networks.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that. I know that users expect things to be quickly. Like we talked to come quickly. So we talked earlier about Amazon and 2-day delivery. I want this thing fast. How will Smart Fulfillment help with that problem?
Well, this is built on our API first strategy. So Smart Fulfillment is able to be delivered on the front end. So in discovery, you can actually have predictability. You can actually give information to the user about what options are available to them. There's an electronic edition here. There's another edition in print, perhaps, or we can get you a copy of this chapter or this article, and being able to deliver that up front. That's part of Smart Fulfillment. And then it also powers that logistics network on the back end that's built on our resource sharing network.
Thinking about the design process that we've gone through recently with Worldcat Discovery, we're building out a completely new UI experience for Discovery users. And a major part of that is being able to show the best option to the user. So we want to give them one electronic and one print option. And in so many conversations, it came back to, well, how long is the user going to have to wait for the best option? And having this concept of turnaround time would make that decision so easy. Right now we have to kind of, make decisions based on, is it locally available? Is it available through the group? But just having the idea of, this option will take 1 day, this option will take 2 days, it's really easy to choose what the best option is there. Much simpler.
That's the core of what we do. It creates that great satisfied experience that user knows what I can get, when I can get it, and how it's going to arrive.
So when will we get some of these capabilities?
Well, we've already rolled out a number of features to speed up delivery time. So shelf status availability. We don't want to send requests to libraries where the item's already in use. So we have built that into the system. This turnaround time supported lender strings, that we already have that rolled out. And then we have more optimizations of the network coming. And then, of course, that access, the API access as well, is part of what we're building out.
Great. And in Worldcat Discovery, I mentioned the new UI. That is available now for preview and is coming later this year in June for a full rollout where you'll get the best options available for users and a completely new design. So really excited to share that with all of you.